This is Don Bauer doing another video while on the move, because I've actually been really quite lazy with the videos over the last few while, not doing them in my little room and editing them. So what's happened recently? I've joined a club, a photography club. Now, I'm never really a big fan of photography clubs, because I once went to the Edinburgh Photographic Society, which I thought that'd be a good one to like join in and get involved with. And you got to go along to about 2 of them for free, and they've got a studio and a dark room and all that kind of stuff. So it's got lots of good facilities, but the people that go there are all pretty much a lot older than myself. Whenever I went, it was about 2 years ago. The average age, I would say, was around about 60, 70, 80 years old. So as that kind of put me off joining that club, being only 26 that I am. I thought, I don't think I quite fit in there. Anyway, I found this other club, which is the Edinburgh Photo Society. So Edinburgh Photo Soc? Something like that. And the reason why I joined them is because on the first thing that they had, they were having these demos or shows by Sony and by these famous photographers that were going along. And there was one on fashion photography. I thought, brilliant, got to go along to that. And the photographer that came along was Michael Wayne Plant. I'll put his link in the sidebar. And anyway, he's a world famous fashion photographer, and he was telling us some of the techniques that he uses and some of the kind of attitudes in the industry and just how to get out there. And he also did some critiquing of some photos, which was quite interesting. So like a lot of people that came along to sent in their photos, and he said what was good and what was bad about them. The club is run by the Edinburgh University, so it's partly Edinburgh University, but anybody can join, so that's quite cool. One of the things which I find quite funny and quite almost stereotypical is that whenever photographers are judging other people's photos, there's always kind of a slight pattern to it. For example, because this guy was a fashion photographer, he asked people to send in their fashion photos, their beauty images, their portrait images. And about 10 different people sent in a little collection of their photos, maybe 3 or 4 photos each. And he critiqued them. And it's so stereotypical that the person who put their camera on their table in front of them, sat down with a beer and took a photo of themselves, and put no time or effort into their photo whatsoever, just went, yeah, photo, done. He praised it as much as possible. You couldn't get a better photograph. He's like, oh, what lighting did you use? And the person was like, just the ceiling light from above. And he's like, I like the pose. Did you try and get that pose? And I'm like, no, I was just sitting on my sofa drinking a beer. But then the people who like put loads of effort, had makeup artists, had studios, had like £1,000 lighting rigs and all this kind of stuff, he absolutely battered them. He was just like, oh well, I would have moved that, would have done that, wouldn't use those colours, what are you trying to get the person to be thinking, what are you trying to get the viewer to do, blah blah blah. And like totally rips the people that have like put lots of effort in their photos. And I was speaking to one of the photographers who got totally ripped. His photographs are really, really good. It's Tom Bishop. I'll put his link at the side as well. And I thought his photos were really good. And there were some comments about some of the colours, but really the grilling that he got was not the equivalent of how bad his photo was. I don't know, whatever. And that's just one of the stereotypical things that you see. The crapper the photo, the more people praise it. The more technical detail and skill that's gone into it, the more people can totally abuse it and batter it and slag it off. Also, at the lecture thing, there's a man from Sony who was telling us about what they're going to be coming up with their cameras soon. And they were telling us pretty much that the reason why they haven't put video or HD video into any of their cameras yet is because they want to do it perfectly right. Because Sony is world renowned for its video cameras, for its handycams and all that. So they're saying that their next bunch of cameras will have video in the Sony Alpha something, and it's going to be one of the highest, like, best video captures you can get, AVDCH or something like that, which is what they get in their high-end camcorders. He was also telling us about some lenses which are coming out for Sony, which look to be quite expensive, and also saying that they're also predicting about the future and how they think that in the future megapixels are definitely going to go up. It's got the biggest one just now is the Sony Alpha something, which has 24 million pixels, and they were saying that's the beginning now. The fact that they have the technology to double that, maybe even triple that to 75 million pixels. But as what we were saying is like, well, it's not about the sensor resolution, it's about the optical resolution, as in the glass itself can't resolve that amount of resolution, so what's the point? And they're saying, well, they are still developing their glass, they're making the glass better and better and better, so maybe in the future you will have glass which can resolve to 70 million pixels, but at the moment that's really just reserved for the very, very expensive cameras such as the Hasselblads, the Leafs, the Phase 1s and all that kind of stuff, where well, the glass is more like Leica and stuff like that, where they're up to about 50 million pixels. The thing I'd criticise about the lecture was that he did a couple of photos of he had a model there who was beautiful, a girl called Lexi, incredibly skinny, like proper, you could see her bones, but very good looking. And he was taking photos of her, and there wasn't really much technical skill involved in it. He was showing us, oh look, here's a gold reflector, here's a white reflector, here's a silver reflector, here's a light from here, here's a beauty dish. That was kind of it. He was more talking about the techniques that you use, such as like how to communicate with your model, how to get them to relax, how to keep on shooting until they tire out. Also just how to take loads and loads of photos. It's like saying, like, if you've got a digital camera, take 2,000 photos, not 200 photos. And he's also telling us about the differences in the types of fashion industries, or photographic fashion industries, in New York, London, Milan and Paris. How New York is very commercial, London's quite quirky and individual, Paris is very high level couture, and Milan is something else, I can't remember what he said. That was a cool thing that we had, so I thought, that's good, right, I'm joining. Now, or this Saturday, there's a workshop, so I have to pay a little bit extra, and we go in this workshop with this photographer who is going to be showing us how he does some of his work. And they're telling me his name is Alonso DR, and I'm like, well, that's a kind of a cool name. It's like, because I know a guy called Alonso Diaz, who I've been following on Flickr. I just kind of randomly found him, and I thought his photos are really cool, and I think I've mentioned him before in another video. And he says he never does HDR, he never does, you know, like photoshopped images. It's all pretty much how he uses his flashlights to make his images look so cool. I'll put his link down at the side as well. I found out it's actually the same guy. I'm like, no way, it's Alonso Diaz, but for some reason he goes under DR. I don't know if it's a Spanish thing, but he's coming over to Scotland, and we're going, I think we're going up to St Andrews. We're going to be doing some portraiture, some seascapes and landscapes, and working with the flash and all that kind of stuff, so that's going to be really cool. I'll try and do a video while I'm on the course with him. So that's going to be on Saturday, and then on Sunday I've got another photo shoot. But that's the kind of one thing I'd say is, if you are joining any sort of photo club or photo society, make sure you go to it a couple of times beforehand and check whether you actually like it, or whether the people that are there are the same kind of age. Don't just like send your money off and join a club for the sake of joining a club.